Welcome to the fourth day of our program. In view of the need to be aware of the netiquette rules and norms, research agenda and ethics, and Google applications, yesterday's event has filled us with the knowledge that we need. Aside from that, we were informed of the resources that the Mindanao State University e-library offers. Now, to start our day, let us hear the presentation about responsible research writing by Professor Jeric C. Alico, Faculty of the English Department.
Jeric C. Alico, a licensed English teacher, is a faculty member of the English Department and serves as a co-chair of its Research and Publication Committee. Before he joined the department, he had taught at the Pre-University Center and MSU Marawi Senior High School. While teaching, he also served as a special assistant at the Office of the Vice President for Planning and Development in the years 2016 to 2019, and at the Office of the Vice Chancellor for Research, Extension, and Development from 2020 until 2021. He has served as speaker in various seminars and workshops on research writing and publishing, research methods, and instructional materials development. He finished BS Ed English magna cum laude at MSU Marawi in April 2014 and is currently finishing his thesis for the degree Master of Arts in English Language Teaching at the same university.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to the introductory academic program. My salutations and commendations to the officials of the university and to the organizers of this program, most especially to the Office of the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and its collaborators for coming up with this significant initiative. I am Jeric Alico, a faculty member of the Department of English, and it is my great pleasure to share with you some basic knowledge and skills necessary for your research projects in the future. This lecture has the following objectives. First is to provide awareness on the requisites of becoming a responsible researcher. Second is to highlight the value of properly treating sources and references. And finally, to explain the basic study, thinking, and writing skills. My discussion has three parts. Part 1 will cover the overview of research in finding a topic. Part 2 will focus on evaluating sources and taking notes, as well as integrating sources and avoiding plagiarism. And finally, Part 3 will revolve around structure, organization, and support, as well as writing and thinking moves. And I'd like to remind everyone that this lecture will cover general introductory concepts only. You will learn advanced concepts when you enroll in research courses in your third year or fourth year. Without much ado, let's begin this session with a quick snapshot of what research is all about. Markman and colleagues define research as the disciplined process of investigating and seeking facts that will lead one to discover what one feels is the truth about something. In other words, it is a search for knowledge whose aim is to contribute new ideas to existing knowledge. And with that, we can say that it's the key to advancement, because through research, we can learn and discover new ways of doing things that would result in the improvement of ourselves and of our society. However, despite its importance, why is research disliked by some students and professionals alike? Well, probably because it demands a lot, like time, money, effort, and others. Yes, it's a rigorous work, but a fulfilling one. Great scientists and researchers, for example, had invested a lot on their groundbreaking research works. I am not saying that we should be like Einstein or other Nobel Prize laureates, but this is the reality of research work. The demand is high, but the outcome is great. It's fulfilling, as I have said. And you cannot graduate, by the way, if you don't complete your research project. That's for sure. So on to the next slide. Here we can see the overall process of doing research. And it begins with a problem or a question that you want to investigate, and that becomes your topic. Then you review the literature. Here you read previous studies and books or other materials about that topic. You also revisit theories and concepts formulated to explain that topic. And most probably, there are voluminous publications about that topic already. So, to lessen the burden of reading thousands of papers, refer to recent works. By recent, I mean works published 5 to 10 years ago, since they most probably mention old works already. So, by doing a literature review, you will be able to identify the research gap in that topic. A research gap is a problem or a question that other researchers have not explored or answered yet. Although sometimes there are answers already, but they are insufficient. That could be a research gap as well. Then, after literature review, you will formulate hypotheses or tentative answers and explanations to the questions you are asking. And these hypotheses will be tested in your paper and will be accepted or rejected after you finish your research. So since you already have a clear purpose, you are now ready to plan the steps that your research will take in the future. So in designing your research, you answer the question, how will I answer my research questions? In here, you identify the methods of data collection and analysis. So if it's a quantitative research, you are expected to collect data that are numerical in nature. This can be done by administering surveys or conducting experiments depending on your study. You also use statistical tools to know what the data say about your problem. So if it's a qualitative research, you collect data through interviews, observations, content analysis, or others. So your goal here is to gain detailed understanding about a problem or phenomenon by collecting stories and experiences, by gathering information from the natural environment through observation, or by closely looking into spoken or written texts, even images as well. So after planning your research, you execute the plan. Okay? You collect the data systematically and ethically. After collecting the necessary data, you analyze it appropriately by using statistical tools, if quantitative, or employing thematic analysis for interviews, and other methods if qualitative. After that, you determine what the results mean and come up with sound conclusions based on what you have found. And after finishing your research, you write it, you present it in conferences, and even publish it in peer-reviewed national and international journals. So that is basically how research goes. Overall, we can say that a good research is one that is systematic because there are specific steps to be taken and specific rules to be followed. Certainly, we do not just guess when we make conclusions, right? So research has a structure that we should follow. A good research is also empirical because it is based on a real situation, a real problem, and deals with concrete data provided by real people or taken from a real environment. Our data is not imaginary, and we do not say that our conclusions were revealed to us from a dream 2 nights ago. So we do not just imagine things in research. Further, a good research is logical because it follows the conventions of sound reasoning. We base our conclusions on what the data reveals. Simply put, our claims are backed by empirical data. And finally, a good research is replicable because it is transparent in all aspects, especially the methodology part. We disclose everything that we do in our research so that other researchers can repeat it. For example, in biology, replication is very important. Okay, it is important that the materials and methods are described in detail so that other scientists can conduct the same experiment. If the results are different from the replicated study, then there is a possibility that the results were manipulated. And we do not manipulate things in research. Besides data collection, another dreaded part of research is writing. And we will zoom in on that area in the next parts of this lecture. Having numerous drafts when writing a 500-word essay, for example, is normal. Okay? Many drafts. And it is even more frequent when writing a whole research paper. So there are three major drafts that you write. The first draft will focus on substance, where you put your ideas together. So this is the very rough draft, okay, of your paper. In the second draft, you will focus on structure. In here, you revise your draft to ensure good organization of ideas. The final draft is all about style. Okay? So what you will work on in this draft is the scholarliness of your paper. So you edit your work to conform with academic writing conventions. For example, you check if your paper has contractions. Okay, contracted words like isn't, don't, okay, because contractions are not part of the academic writing style. Let's proceed to the next crucial question, which is how to find a topic. So the perfect topic is something that is significant in the field because it contributes to the knowledge base of that particular field. So in short, it has professional significance. So your topic may test a theory or contribute to its development, may extend existing knowledge, change prevailing beliefs, suggest relationship and between and among phenomena, extend a methodology or a research instrument, or provide greater depth of knowledge about previously studied phenomena. Second, it is a topic or problem that continuously interests scholars in the field. Thus, the conversation about it is going on, and your goal is to be a part of that conversation. Surely it would be impractical to choose a topic that no one is talking about, right? Probably because it's already a resolved problem, an outdated issue, or a topic that is not interesting anymore. Moreover, it is very important as well that you yourself pick the topic because you are interested in it, not because someone else gives it to you, all right? It's hard to work on something that doesn't interest or motivate us, okay? And aside from that, choose a topic that would surely contribute to your career advancement. Also, you should consider practicality in choosing a topic. First, make sure that you have the professional knowledge, experience, and skills to accomplish it. Like for example, in your chosen topic, you're expected to do in-depth interviews. The question is, do you know how to conduct in-depth interviews, right? So you have to study. You have to learn how to do it. Second, make sure that you have the necessary support, all right? Financial, logistical, and others. Because it's difficult to work on something that wala kang support na nakukuha, no? Wala kang pera, for example, financial support is not present. Or probably your advisor or mentors don't really support you, okay, on that topic. Third, you will have enough time to finish your research and the data sources are accessible. It's very important that you choose a topic that will allow you to graduate on time, okay? And the sources of your data can be accessed, okay, easily. So that is very important as well. Um, Quite complicated, right? But I'm pretty sure that this is not new to you anymore because you already experienced this before, probably when you were in senior high school. And of course, I know you agree with me that a good research mentor or advisor is a great help in choosing a topic and finishing your study. So don't hesitate to ask for help from experienced researchers as well. Now, let's proceed to our next concern, which is collecting sources and taking notes. Basically, research is also a test of our diligence to collect sources and, with emphasis, read them. Okay? Make sure that you read, all right, the sources that you collect. Okay? Remember that researches take strength and are built from cautious as well as inspired utilization of sources. Earlier, I emphasized that we need to do a literature review. That is what this part is telling us. Read a lot about the topic you are working on so that you can relate your study to present or existing findings. So, why do we need to collect sources? We need to collect sources because they provide the following. First, background and contextual information about your topic, explanations of unfamiliar concepts, definitions of technical terms, for example, verbal and visual emphasis, for points researchers make, all right, to support the points that you will make, in your paper. And then authority for the researcher's claims, which in turn helps in creating their own authority. So you do not become an authority in a particular field or topic if you don't consult, authorities that came before you. So you need their help, and support as well. So you use their published works. All right. Next is evidence to support claims. That's very important. Counter examples or counter evidence researchers need to reflect on and respond to. You conduct a research study because you want to confirm or to disprove something, that has already been established. That's why you have to read previous studies, the literature, to look for counter evidence or counter examples para alam mo kung paano mo i-explain yung results mo, no? And finally, varying perspectives on the topic. Okay? So to ensure reliability and persuasiveness of sources, okay, you have to evaluate them. Okay? So there are criteria to consider. First is your purpose. All right? So what will this source add to your research? Does it help you support a major point? Demonstrate that you have thoroughly researched your topic, or help establish your own credibility through its authority. Okay, so the purpose of why you are conducting that study, okay, must come first. All right? So, alam mo yung purpose mo, so alam mo din yung mga sources na hahanapin mo. Okay? And then, you examine also the purpose of the sources that you have collected. No? Tingnan mo kung mag-match ba at makakatulong ba sa present research project mo. Next is relevance. How closely related, is the source to the topic you are pursuing? You have to make sure that your sources are related to your present study. Next is publisher's credentials. What do you know about the publisher or of the source you are using? So the publisher also adds, to the credibility of the source, because may mga publishers na hindi reliable, no? So publishers like, for example, Sage, McGraw-Hill, Pearson Education. So these are established, publishers, or Wiley Blackwell. Okay. Next is author's credentials. Is the author an expert on the topic? So expertise of the authors must also be considered. Next is the date of publication. So recent sources actually are often more useful than older ones. I've already said this earlier. Next is accuracy of source. Okay, How accurate and complete is the information in the source? So you have to be very critical, no, in this part. Tingnan mo kung tama ba, no, ang information na nasa source. How thorough is the bibliography cited? Marami din ba siyang sinite na bibliography? Okay? Considering, for example, that the topic is already, famous, okay? Or many researchers have already worked on that topic. So, bakit no konti lang no ang references marami nang nag-publish about that. So, kailangan tingnan mo din 'yan. So, how thorough is the bibliography cited? And can you find other sources that verify what your source is saying? Next is the stance of source. No, ano yung stand ng source na nakuha mo? Identify the source's point of view and scrutinize it carefully para alam mo kung saan ka lulugar. No? Next is, this is the last one, no? Cross-referencing. Is the source also cited in other works? So, tingnan mo kung na-cite din ba siya sa ibang work. Because if that work is also cited by other published works, ibig sabihin, that work is reliable, no, or valuable. Okay. Here are some widely used academic search engines that can serve as your sources of relevant literature. So we have the most common one and the most friendly one for me, Google Scholar. And we also have Microsoft Academic Research, and then Semantic Scholar, another friendly search engine as well. And we also have ResearchGate. There are a lot of researches na published works there. No? And makikita mo din yung mga authors. May mga accounts sila dyan. Even sa Google Scholar and Semantic Scholar. Okay. Of course, it would be a great nonsense, no, if we read our sources without understanding and critically examining them. You need to interpret your sources, okay, which entails synthesizing or grouping similar pieces of data together, looking for patterns or trends, and identifying the main points of the data, no, your sources. So, binasa mo lahat, i-synthesize mo sila. I-arrange mo, no? I-group together mo, i-organize mo, ano yung mga pareho, ano yung mga hindi, no? And then, you look for patterns, ano yung trends, ano madalas yung results, no, ng mga sources na yon. And then, after that, you draw inferences. So you make conclusions on your own that follow logically from the data given. So ano yung na-observe mo doon sa mga sources, no, after synthesizing them? So is there a trend? So after determining that, you conclude, you make your own conclusion na ito pala ang trend. Ito pala ang ito pala ang mga findings madalas. Okay? So to do that, you must take notes and annotate your sources. You cannot synthesize, you cannot draw inferences if you don't take notes, no, of the most important details in your sources. So what should you do? First, you record enough information, okay, from the sources you have read. And then, you make the information ready to be incorporated in your paper. So, ihanda mo na sila para madali na lang silang ilagay sa paper mo. Madali na lang silang isulat. And we will discuss the techniques on how to do that. And lastly, note all the information to cite the source accurately. Okay? You list the names of authors, the year of publication, the publisher. Okay? So that hindi ka na mahihirapan, no, pag magsulat ka ng reference list mo or bibliography after as the final part, no, of your paper, yung bibliography or reference list. And don't forget not to include your comments about the information as well, like your reactions, questions, and stand. Diba ang sabi dito, annotate your sources. So you put comments as well, no? Doon sa mga, habang nagbabasa ka, no, you take notes and then lagyan mo ng mga konting comments sa gilid, no? Para madali na lang sa'yo, no, yung pagsusulat. So, your reactions or your if you have questions, no? Or meron ka bang tawag nito additional idea, no, regarding that information. And in note taking, you have to put a label on the note, whether it is a summary, a paraphrase, or a direct quotation. And these are the techniques that I told you earlier. So let's discuss the three techniques. So what's the difference among these three? Summary, paraphrase, and quotation. So let's begin with quoting. Quoting is bringing a source's exact words into the text. Walang labis, walang kulang. Kumbaga copy-paste, pero copy-paste na legal. No? So we quote a statement for the following reasons. So we quote because the wording is so memorable or expresses a point so well that you cannot improve or shorten it without weakening it. So i-quote mo siya because the statement is so impactful, no? So memorable, na kapag i-paraphrase mo or i-revise mo, mawawala yung impact niya. No? So that's the first reason. Second is the author is a respected authority whose opinion supports your own ideas. Okay? And finally, we quote a statement stated by an author who challenges or disagrees profoundly with others. Kasi that's another impactful statement, no? Kapag may state na something opposite, no, to other authors' claims. So how do we quote properly? First, no, we copy quotations carefully with punctuation, capitalization, and spelling exactly as in the original. Kasi nga quote, di ba? No? Putting the exact words, okay, of the author into your paper. So, lahat, ang comma, no, ang capitalization, you have to copy all of them. Second, okay, like this example. Second, we enclose the quotation in quotation marks. Kaya nga quoted statement, no? Kasi lalagyan mo ng quotation marks. Kaya nga copy-paste na legal, okay? So, you put quotation marks. Don't rely on your memory to distinguish your own words from those of the source, okay? Baka mangyari, nakalimutan mo na i-copy mo lang pala yun, supposedly i-quote mo, pero hindi mo nalagyan ng quotation marks, na plagiarize, no? Na plagiarize yung statement. And like this example, no? So third, if you want to add your own words or make some changes in the statement, enclose them in brackets, like this one, no? He saw it as a game or wrestling match. So yung he, specify niya nilagyan ng Johnson. And then it, specify niya nilagyan ng the war. And those words added are enclosed in brackets. Okay? Last, we use ellipses if we omit words from the quotation, just like in these examples. No? May mga tinanggal ka na mga phrases or mga words. No? Ang ilalagay mo, ang nakapalit ay ellipsis, tatlong periods. Okay? So that's for quoting. Let's proceed to paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is putting an author's material into your own words and sentence structures. So what you will do here is you will restate the original statement using your own words and sentence structures. Yes, you will use your own words and sentence structures, but make sure that you don't alter, okay, the sense of the original statement. Kasi nga, nag-paraphrase ka, no? Gi-change mo yung statement. Kailangan, nandoon pa rin yung sense, no? Yung main idea, hindi nawala nung gi-paraphrase mo yung statement. Also, include the exact words of the author when necessary and put quotation marks around them. So you paraphrased a statement and then may mga words doon na hindi mo change, no? Hindi mo pinalitan, for example, ng synonym niya. So, ang gagawin mo doon is lalagyan mo ng quotation marks. Kasi words pa rin yun ng author, no? Especially yung mga technical terms, yung mga words na yun na talaga ang ginagamit. So, kailangan i-quote mo yan, no? And no, most particularly terms no, or phrases na yung author mismo ang gumawa. Okay? Siya mismo ang nag-construct nun to refer to his or her ideas. Okay? So take a look at this example and examine the difference. The passage on the left side is the original text, while on the right side is the paraphrase. So you may have noticed that the text on the right side is a different version, but still contains the same thought as that on the left side. So you can probably pause this video for a while and then check for yourself the difference. Compare the two passages. So here's a quick guide to effective paraphrasing. First is you skim the source first to get the overall meaning. So intindihin mo muna, no? Ano yung main idea, ano yung main point. Read the source carefully, no? Focus on keywords, phrases, and unfamiliar words. And then you list the main ideas without looking at the source. No? I-list mo yung main ideas na ma-remember mo without looking at the source, no? After reading the source carefully. And then you review. Write the paraphrase, and then you check, and check. And then finally, don't forget na ilagay pa rin yung author. Okay? I-cite mo pa rin yung author. Alright? Kahit nag-paraphrase ka. Kasi kahit nag-paraphrase ka pero walang author, plagiarism pa rin yun. So the last technique in note-taking is summarizing. What we do in summarizing is we compress the original text to shorten it. So yung mahabang text, i-shorten natin, i-summarize. So the summary, therefore, must contain the most important details only. So here are the steps to writing a summary. First, understand the meaning. That's very important. No? This is the most crucial part. If needed, no, look up words or concepts in the dictionary, no, or kahit anong source para lang maintindihan mo yung mga words no, na hindi ka familiar. Okay? Next is understand the organization. Identify the sections of the text. Okay? Is the idea discussed in a single paragraph or in a group of paragraphs? Okay? So this is to know how the parts of the text relate to one another, because some works, no? In some works, isang idea, tatlong paragraphs, no, ang ginamit to explain. So you have to check on that. So after understanding the organization, distill each section. For example, yung isang idea, tatlong paragraphs. So in distilling each section, you write 1 or 2 sentences per paragraph, no? Per part. So 1 sentence per paragraph. Sa tatlong paragraphs na yun. 1 sentence each. And then, after that, write a sentence or 2 that capture the author's main idea. Okay? And then, after stating the main idea, no? after what do you call this? Constructing a sentence, no, about the main idea, you support the main idea. Okay? So you will then expand that sentence you wrote earlier by including, the most important details about the main idea. And don't forget, by the way, to use your own words. Okay? Use your own words. You really have to, because i-summarize mo i-shorten mo siya. So kailangan ma-capture yung main ideas doon sa summary mo, and you cannot avoid using your own words. So when do we use each of these techniques? First, no, for quoting, I already mentioned this earlier. No? Okay. First, no, the wording is so memorable. No, hindi mo siya ma-revise. And then the author is a respected authority, and an author challenges or disagrees profoundly with others. As to paraphrasing, paraphrase passages you do not wish to quote, but that use details important to your point. So, i-restate mo, nandoon yung important details. No? Para sa summarizing naman, you summarize, no, because you are interested in the main point. You don't include the details anymore. So the main point only. So why do we have to use these three techniques, no, in writing a research paper or any paper at that? So the reason is to avoid plagiarism. What is plagiarism? It is the act of presenting someone else's ideas as your own. Okay? And it's wrong to claim something as your own when it really is not, right? That's stealing, no? And stealing is a crime. There are different types of plagiarism. No? First is the word for word or direct plagiarism, which means repeating the exact words of a source without giving credit. So ito na yung copy-paste na illegal. Okay? Nag-copy-paste ka na nga, hindi mo pa sinite ang author. Okay? Second is the mosaic or spot plagiarism. So kasi gusto mong mag-try mag-paraphrase pero you still failed, no? Sa mosaic or spot plagiarism kasi only just a few words were changed, no, in your version. All right? Third is paraphrasing without citation. So you paraphrased pero hindi mo sinite yung author. So that is plagiarism, no? Plagiarism without citation. Fourth is accidental plagiarism, no? Hindi mo sinadya, all right? Neglecting to cite sources or na-misquote mo yung source, mali yung pagka-quote mo, or unintentionally paraphrasing a source by using similar words, groups of words, and or sentence structure without citation. So kahit hindi mo sinadya, no? Plagiarism pa rin. Fifth is self-plagiarism. So this happens, no, especially among students. When students submit their previous works, sinabmit yung nasulat na niya na essay before, sinabmit niya ulit ngayon. So that is self-plagiarism. Okay? Or researcher ka, nakapublish ka na before, and then i-plagiarize mo yung na-publish mo na, no, sa present paper mo. That is self-plagiarism. And then, the last one is misattribution. Nag-paraphrase ka, but you cited the wrong author. Okay? You cited the wrong author. Misattribution. So, acknowledging sources is a requisite to becoming a responsible researcher. Okay? Doing so means that you have gained expertise and credibility on your topic. You demonstrate fairness, okay? Because you considered several points of view, all right? You consulted, as I've said, you consulted experts, no, or authorities that came before you. And you demonstrate fairness, you provide background for your research, and you help your readers so that they can follow your thoughts. They will know who to read, no? Understand how your ideas relate to others, and know where to go to find more information on your topic. Okay? Next, in addition, you might be asking, dapat po ba talagang i-cite lahat ng sources ko, lahat ng ideas, no, na nakuha ko? Actually, not all materials require acknowledgement. Like for example, common knowledge. Okay? The sky is blue. That's common knowledge. That's universally accepted fact. No? That's a fact already. So you don't need to cite an author. No? Next, facts available in a wide variety of sources. Okay? Yung common na siya talaga, no? Parang common knowledge na rin, no? At ginamit na rin ng ibang sources. At yung ibang sources na yun, hindi na rin nag-cite. Okay? And finally, your own findings. Of course, those are your own findings. Why would you cite, no, an author? Sarili mo. No? Unless publication mo siya in the past, no? Nakapublish ka na before. So you cite yourself, okay? Kasi related yung previous work mo sa present work. Okay? However, when you use quotations, paraphrases, and summaries, facts, no, not widely known or claims that are arguable, visuals, no, pictures from any source, and help provided by others, please be respectful enough to acknowledge your sources. No? So, we really must be very careful when writing our, academic papers and other school requirements, because plagiarism has consequences. So these are the possible punishments for plagiarism. First, automatic failure, no, sa klase. Okay? Yung ibang eskwelahan, they expel students. Alright? And, for example, na sinulat mo yung thesis mo, dissertation, at nalaman at nakita na plagiarized yung parts, no, maraming parts, some universities revoke, no, their degrees, as if hindi ka nakagraduate, binawi yung diploma mo. Okay? What else? Nag-publish ka ng libro, and then nalaman, no, na libro or research paper, and then it was discovered that those works have plagiarized parts. Ang ginagawa is wini-withdraw, no, hindi na tinatanggal, no, sa mga bookstores, or hindi na tinatanggal sa tinatanggal na sa mga publications. And finally, if you are a researcher, no, who received candidacies, no, or placed in a position, or was awarded because of your your research works, at nalaman na yung research mo ay may plagiarized parts, no, nag-plagiarize ka, babawiin yun. Okay? Therefore, let's exercise caution to avoid these consequences. Alright, let's proceed to the last part of my lecture, which covers some important reminders regarding writing. So all types of writing require structure, organization, and support, right? In terms of structure, we were taught since elementary. We have been taught since elementary that our composition must have an introduction, body, and conclusion. So the intro contains our main idea, no, our thesis statement, and then the body discusses, no, our ideas. And then the conclusion wraps up our paper, our essay, and restates our main idea. Although this is very basic, but this is still very applicable, no? Kahit sa anong write-up na gagawin mo. Moreover, before we write, we must gather information about our topic, because you can't write anything if you don't have any information about that topic, right? So when we are done gathering relevant details, we must organize, no, before we proceed to the drafting stage. So we organize our thoughts by outlining, no, may heading ka, and then may subparts, no, and graphic organizing also, mga diagrams, mga concept maps, tree diagrams, no, and other graphic organizers or diagrams, because outlines and graphic organizers guide us, no, in writing our papers. In addition, when we write, we must make sure that sufficient support is provided to make our ideas and claims credible. So support may be in a form of factual information like statistical data or reports. What else? Quotations from reliable authors, and examples, no, from the real world. Okay. Finally, here are some writing and thinking moves that a researcher must do. First is to observe. Okay? When we observe, we watch, we listen, we read, we perceive. No? By observing, we can get ideas. No? We can gather information, and we can even be inspired, no, by those information we have gathered to conduct a research or a study. Next is gather, no? A very important skill as well of a researcher. So collect observations, use personal experiences, so collecting data, basically. And then you cluster, you list, you brainstorm with others, okay? Interview others, talk to them, and then jot down information that you get from other people. Next is question, okay? A researcher is, someone who constantly asks questions, no? Inquires about a lot of things. So you ask who, what, when, why, how much, what if, so what, no? And why not? Because in questioning, you look into things, you investigate, you survey. Next is focus. So find a main point or center of interest. Focus is very important among researchers, no? Kasi may iba na para hindi ka malihis ng landas, you have to focus, no? Identify or define the key problem or issue in your paper, no, in your study, and select a way to approach the issue. You set a goal or purpose, no, para dun ka mag-focus. And then next is organize. Okay? A researcher is an organizer. So distinguish the whole from the part. Okay? Put in meaningful order. You compare, you contrast, no? You group together things, you classify, no? Para madaling i-process ang information. Next is analyze. So you select the best idea or feature. So when we analyze, we break down something into its constituent parts. No, himay-himayin mo siya so that you will see which idea is better, no, or the best, or how do things relate, no, to one another or relate to other things. You also ask questions like what caused it, no, and what did it cause? So cause and effect, no, nandyan din sa analysis. You see patterns, relationships, and connections by analyzing ideas. Next is imagine. No? So imagination, according to Einstein, is more important than knowledge. Okay, because imagination is the key. No, it's actually the portal. I mean, no? The portal to inventions. No, innovations. So you see from another point of view. You create new ideas, alternatives. Okay? So in imagining, you experiment, you invent, you design, di ba? You draw conclusions, make hypotheses, and then test the hypothesis. What else? You predict as well, no? And because you can predict, no, if you have enough information as to use as basis. All right? So that is thinking, no, beyond. Next is rethink. Okay? A researcher looks back, okay? Steps back as well. Titingnan kung tama pa ba ang ginagawa, no? What are the results, no? At baka may nakalimutan pa, baka may nakaligtaan. Do I need to change the process? Do I need to review, no, everything? Do I need to see things in another point of view or in a new perspective? So that's rethinking. And finally, we evaluate, no? We judge, okay? Is it understandable? Is it clear, accurate, concise? So this is what you do, no, when you read your sources and when you interpret your data. No? You criticize. No? Is it effective? Is it workable? Is it interesting? And then you persuade. Is it worthwhile? Is it meaningful? No? Is it practical, logical? And then you argue as well. No? What are the advantages and disadvantages of this? Okay? So in evaluating, we create decisions. No? We create judgments. All right? We conclude as well. No? Kung ano ba talaga, no? What is good and what is bad. Okay? And this is a very important skill as well of a researcher. Okay? So that ends my lecture. And that ends my lecture on basic research skills. I hope and pray that you will be able to accomplish your research projects in the future. Final reminder, finish your research, don't let it finish you. So once again, thank you very much for listening. I hope you gained some ideas about research and learn about basic research skills. Once again, thank you, God bless, and stay safe.